Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk, the very first one of 2025. I am your host, Cody Koster. With me is Mr. Andy Fallman from, not Chicago, but
Wheaton.
I knew it. Wheaton. Different. Separate them. Don't call them the same. It's
I live on the border of Wheaton and Glen Ellen. So
you get offended when people say that you're from, like, you live in Chicago, yeah?
No, I live in a Chicago suburb,
but it's not Chicago.
It's not Chicago proper.
It's like saying I live in Detroit, but I live on the west side.
Okay, fine, whatever. I used to live in Michigan. Did I tell you? I was born in Michigan. Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
I was born like right there. I think it's, if you want, more like right there.
So yeah, so people would say that you're from Detroit, but technically not Detroit.
Flint.
I just want to get it correct. I just want to get it right.
Well, I appreciate you doing that.
It's a new year, new us.
New year, new you. You're gonna have 10,000 subscribers. You're gonna go to the moon.
We're on our
way,
way,
man. You're gonna get a tattoo. How was New Year's, by the way?
It was really good. It was a really, really chill night. Didn't really do a whole lot. Went and saw my neighbors. Went to bed at 10 o'clock. Did not stay up for the ball drop. How about you?
I ended up like falling asleep at like 9 and then waking up at like 11. And so then I did actually make it to midnight, only because I was able to take like a little like snack nap.
There you go.
If you will.
Very cool.
Good start for the year. So speaking of good start for the year, we have a request.
We have our first request of 2025 coming from our colleague, Matt, wanting to look at feeders.
Coming in hot.
March feeders.
What was his question? He had a
specific question was making new highs here. Where's the top? Where's the support?
Okay. So, it's like
as everyone wants to know, where's the top of
there with that? 2 ships of the night with that question. Like, where is it supportive and where is it going to top out at?
Right.
Okay.
The funny thing about March feeders is, so this is a daily. I also looked at it on a monthly to see if, maybe there was a little bit of an indication for a top. Oh, look at that, new highs.
Yeah, all new. Oh, yikes. I mean, there really is no stopping that right now. It's tough to say. Like, yeah, I mean, short answer is, I don't like, there's nothing technically that would suggest that there's this big break coming, right? And when you think about how this market, see how it rejected?
Yeah.
Like we got in the new highs, immediately closed well within that, that close, right?
Right.
Like that's a sign of weakness. Nope, not so fast. So the fact that the market like took this as a buying opportunity is just, that's strong hype bull. Yeah. It's tough. It's tough to argue that. And to your point, the monthly, I mean, all of this break was viewed as a break to buy. I mean, that's a big break too, right? And you have higher low, like, damn, I don't know. It's tough to say, like, where does this market top out at? I mean, nothing here is suggesting that we've got this big break coming.
Well, and I was looking at the RSI and the momentum is just kind of, like you said, strong like bull. The RSI just crossed overbought in territory, it looks like. Okay. I mean, just into there.
Okay.
But as we've seen before, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to take a pullback. And if we do, when it did it before, we had a day of pullback and then we went higher. One day.
Yeah. RSI. So RSI is a great way to, it's like a warning sign, right? So it stands for relative strength index, and it's oscillating between two points, and you can get into overbought or oversold territory and stay there for a while. It's when you cross back in and then start to trend lower, in this case, lower, like is where it would be like, that's, but the fact that we crossed into overbought territory and we could stay there for the next 60 days.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, nothing about this chart makes you want to get over, like it has absorbed a lot of selling. It's in a very healthy uptrend. I guess the only thing you could really maybe hang your hat on is here. You could argue that we're now working on wave 5.
Oh, I see.
And if that's the case, like you could argue that this is here. You would want to take, again, if you believe this was like 5 waves deal, right? You'd want to take, in my opinion, you take this one, right? The first, and I would just lay it right on top and just say, like, what is this price point? 275, 273.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's still some room for this market to go. So yeah, I mean, between this close, the fact that you couldn't even get this, like this red bar right here was the best that they could do, and that was viewed as a buying opportunity. You have a clear, 5 wave price action going on. The 5th wave is typically like an exhaustion move. And the market is just like all the selling that's taken place. I mean, my gosh, look at all the selling between 230, 240, 250, 260. All of that is underwater.
Yeah.
No open interest from the sell side is making money at this point in this contract. Yikes. So, Kitty watch, by the way. I should just walk by. So she got an interesting Christmas present, by the way. Maybe we'll put it on next Tech Talk. All right. So yeah, this would be my thought. Like, I think we have to see this play out, especially with how well this market's handled this like attempt to break down after new highs in the last 3 days.
Okay. So we have a little bit of, if this is a 5 wave, we have a little bit of time baked into the upside here.
Yeah. And I think his other question too is, if we start to roll over, like where is, like an area of support? It's definitely like, yeah, yep. I mean, we're starting to bounce around here, right? So it's roughly 253, 254. You break through that, then I think it's now you're talking about encroaching on this uptrend. If that breaks, then it's like now you have multiple signals of weakness. I guess it's by then this momentum will have turned to negative here. If that's the case, then it could get dicey for sure. But right here, right now, strong like bull.
Okay.
All right. This next one. This made it into our last episode of 2024. Here we are in 2025. I didn't touch a thing about this next one.
Yeah.
I didn't touch one thing.
And this is going to roll. This is going to roll into our third chart also, because I think there's some importance on our third chart that coincides with this one too.
Yeah. What do you think? So this was, like I said, you wanted to talk about this W last week, and this is where you had these lines drawn. Correct. Didn't touch anything. What do you think?
Weekly cheese.
This is weekly cheese. That's good. Yep. Probably should identify the fact that this is weekly spot cheese.
Yep.
Thank you for joining.
Let me know.
All right. What do you think?
What do I think? So I think that we are going to complete this W. I really do. But what I want to see really quick, everyone take a mental screenshot of this. Can we go to Feb cheese really fast? Oh, I'm sorry. Feb Class 3. Feb Class 3.
We sure can.
So this is February Class 3. Made some new highs yesterday and came off there a little bit today, but also had a little bit of support behind us. We traded over 1,000 contracts towards the end of the session, towards the end, getting into the close. I have drawn on mine, and I want you to tell me if I'm crazy or not. Starting down on the 3rd of December, my first wave of a 5-wave Elliott theory. So I brought it up from the low of the 3rd of December to that big wick that we had on the 13th. That's my first wave.
There?
Yep. There's 2. There's...
Where do you have 3? Here?
So I have 1, 2. I have my third going from that bottom at 1920. Call it 1920 on the 19th.
Okay.
Going to call it the wick, the top of there on the 31st, the last day. Yep.
Right here.
Correct.
Okay.
Now, this would be the 5th wave. So if you take the first leg, like you just showed in feeders, and you laid it over, I have got us topping out. We'll call it the top at 2030. Call it 2040.
So you're saying that these 3 candles were wave 4.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Call it right here.
And we're into wave 5 right now. Yep. Exactly.
You have us going over $22.
No. What did you do?
What did you do, Richard?
On mine, I've got it drawn where we're at the top of 2130.
So you have us basically topping out right around here.
Right. So today being a little bit of a pullback, but one more strong push to $21.30, $21.40, which then going back to the cheese chart breaks us into the next leg of the W. Exactly. Yes. I see it's going back to $1.90 cheese one more time as we got there yesterday. Pulled off a little bit today. I think we have one more push to $1.90. We roll it over and then start on that second leg of the W.
So where does this candle end on the week?
Where do I have it ending? $1.90.
Yeah. Okay. So you think we're going to... So if we settle at $1.90, that will be the first red candle of this move.
Correct.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks in a row with the first week of weakness.
Correct.
I'm not going to disagree with you on this piece of it. I do think it feels like we're running out of gas a little bit in the cash market. And we've come into this area of consolidation, right? And futures have been very reluctant to build in any sort of material premium if you subscribe to the idea there should be like a 4 to 5 cent premium based on like NAV or NDPSR, right? And so, if you just take the midpoint, let's call it like right around 196, which is about where like Fab cheese kind of topped out at.
Okay.
196, 197. And so the question is like, who's going to be the new buyer, at like 196, 197 now, NDPSR cheese.
Right.
So I hear what you're saying. I agree with that. And this, I think, this could spook the market a little bit if we do start to run out of gas and not get any more forward momentum to the upside out of the spot market. And then I'm not going to move into this because I agree that this is a move that could prospectively come here, where maybe it takes, maybe we have to wait till past the Super Bowl to get significant weakness. But I would imagine that a lot of cheese is already bought and paid for the Super Bowl demand too.
I would imagine.
You're not putting your order in the day before the game, which, by the way, who's going to win the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, man.
Pop quiz. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I think the Chiefs are going to win. It's hard to bet against the Chiefs right now.
All right. Fair enough. I have no idea. I'm not really, I don't really follow it. So, okay. So back to your Feb chart. The only thing I don't like about the 5-wave thing is that typically you'd see the second wave be equal to or greater than the first one. So it's a question of like, where do you have this first one really starting? You could argue that you really should start it after the breakout, which would be like right here.
Okay.
But then you're saying that this is all going to be retraced. That's tough.
Right.
So, I mean, it depends on where you have this market really breaking out. Was it really more like right here on this candle? If so, then this makes a little bit more sense. Because then you could take this guy, lay it right on top, and you're still north of this 2130 that you're talking about, dude. You're never more like 21.5, which isn't, again, it's not an unreasonable thing to see a premium baked into a futures market heading into the pricing period, which isn't, this week or next week. It's the week after.
Well, and I also look at today's movement where we did not engulf all of yesterday's candle like we did on the previous red candle, right? Mm-hmm. We engulfed all of the previous trade within the next 3 days were obviously higher movements from there. Today, we didn't engulf everything, and we actually started making our way from lower to higher. Not quite, obviously not back on change.
No, I hear you. Like open interest is going to be a big deal here, I think. We saw recently that Commitment a Trader showed managed money is going from short to long this market.
That was my next comment.
And, we've certainly noticed that there's been a lot of bidding. Like the market's caught like some bids, especially towards the latter part of the day. Are they market on close orders? Right. I don't know. But it seems like there's, more. I guess my question is are those folks adding more longs? Is that going to see a build in open interest? If an open interest is higher, we're seeing new buying and new selling here. The new buying piece would be the interesting one, right? You're getting new buys into contract highs, basically. You don't get long new contract highs if you think the market's going to fall apart. Let's put it that way.
No. I personally think they are. And the reason that I say that is I was talking about this with somebody else on our team. If you look at the CFTC report that comes out usually on Fridays, we got this last one on Monday.
Uh-huh.
The Class 3 longs, net longs and net shorts, usually they overdo it by about 2,000 contracts net long, and then they reverse themselves and go net short 2,000 contracts. And we've seen these massive waves that have kind of engulfed the dairy industry the past year. We are right now, according to that report, plus 689. So plus 689 long contracts in Class 3. I think you've seen more adding to it today to get us closer to that 2,000 mark and then roll it over.
Sure. I believe it. I definitely believe it. So like I said, it's a question of like fundamentally, do you want to be long NAS and DPSR cheese 195, 196 here or better? Or I should say higher than that, right? I mean, you're buying that with the expectation that we're going up. We're going to go north of like $2, for example, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But, you're starting to talk about those types of price points and, getting along that price. This market could break to $20 and still be in an uptrend. That's the thing that bothers me with the whole, and if we are really in a fifth wave, either what we're saying either way is that like fifth is always the exhaustion point. You don't want to be a seller of that. At the very least, if you're long, you want to be liquidating that. I think you and I are on the same page that like we're starting to get to some price points where it's going to be tough to materialize in the cash market and see like, actual sales off the exchange north of that price to justify getting long. So yeah, I mean, to me, I don't think we completely fall to bed. I do think we eventually go and test this trend, and you start to see some supportive. Like we've seen some heavy premium get reported. If you start talking about like cheese in the 170s on the CME, that I think is prevalent. So for us to step back, going back to your previous chart, the cheddar, I think this low holds for a while. This 162. I think you're on par here with this whole point of like putting in a higher low.
Okay.
Just a question of when do we roll over?
Right. Yeah.
But this, all else equal, we sit here for the rest of the week at this price or lower. This will be the first lower candle on this chart for several weeks, over a month. I think that's a material change.
That's a good point.
So we shall see. So, all right. So you've got us where I'm more like right here.
So 21.30.
I think if we start to trade that price, it becomes more of like exhaustion, like
I agree.
not new longs, maybe potentially people liquidating.
Right.
Tough to get new buying behind that kind of thing.
Right.
So
I
that's where my
1,000%
head's at.
agree with you.
That's where my head's at. Either way, I think you and I are on the same page. It's a question of like, I'm a little bit skeptical to say it's the Elliott wave piece, just because of like we're kind of chopping around. I'm more of the opinion that we're just trending higher, and we can set back, and then it turns into like failing to put in a new high during that time. So something else maybe we can link into is if you go and look at our software involved, you can look at the seasonality piece and see that around this time is typically when over the last 5 years, the February price action starts to top out.
Yeah. Over a 10-year period, $21 is like the high, of that market.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know, man.
I agree.
It's already a wild start to the year. I mean, like you could
7 days in.
like you could actually like bake a pie, get some forks. Like, what if 2025 is your year for like silverware and pies? And
It's my year, right?
Summer of George, year of Cody. Let's go.
I proclaim this the Summer of George!
So, last thing, when is it too late to say Happy New Year to people? So, like, at school drop off this morning, I was talking to somebody about that. School drop off this morning, it was like somebody, you didn't see them for a while or something. They're like, Happy New Year. I'm like, well, we've already been into this thing for 7 days. So,
yeah. That's a great question. I actually called somebody this morning. They answered and said Happy New Year, and it took me back a second. I was like, it's the 7th. I mean, we're almost at summer now. You can stop saying it, right? I don't know. I don't know, because they said Happy New Year. There's a long pause because I was I don't know what just happened. It's not. It is the new year, but we're past it, right?
We're past it. Pretty soon, Christmas is like right around the corner. Like,
What's I'm saying? Like the day after Christmas, I said to somebody, I'm like, oh, hey, Happy New Year if I don't talk to you. They're like, well, Christmas was yesterday. Can't you say Merry Christmas? And I said that is past.
Well, thanks God.
Past tense, right? Exactly.
Freeze down.
Right. So now I'm looking forward and saying Happy Super Bowl Sunday, Happy Easter.
Don't forget about Easter.
The New Year's here, baby. We're in.
All right. Summer of Cody, Summer of George, Summer of Year of Cody.
And the people are coming along with us. So everyone, we appreciate you tuning in. This episode was awesome. We banged this one out, full of caffeine, full of coffee. We're ready to rock and roll. We're just flying through the charts. Love it. If anyone has any charts they want to see for next week, just like Matt did, please let us know. We'd be happy to take a look at them. Maybe agree, maybe disagree. We'll find out when the charts get here. But with that, we appreciate you tuning in. We will see you next week on another episode of Tech Talk. Until then, have a great week and even better weekend. See you soon.